friends, welcome to today's vlog. Today is going to be the Smutathon vlog. It's the next 2 days and I've already completed 2 books and I'm almost halfway through. Well, I'm 40% into a third. So let's go ahead and talk about what I've read so far. So the first thing I read starting at midnight, it's about like 9ish in the morning now. So the first thing I started reading at midnight was Ice Planet Barbarians. I've had this on my Kindle for a long time. I finally decided to read it and I really enjoyed it. There's another Alien Smut series that's a little more flushed out and a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? A little less primal, I guess you could say, that I really liked. So it was hard for me to not compare the two because there's a lot of similarities in how they're built. But I really loved the characters a lot. I thought it was, considering the primal aspect to it, it was really well handled. There is a rape scene in the beginning of the book. There was a little author's note in my edition where she originally wrote it in 2015 and she considered taking out the rape scene, but it actually gave context for things later in the story. And so it was well placed. And so, yeah, like she wrote a trigger in the beginning of the book for it. And I really appreciated that. So I was kind of prepared and braced when I was reading. And like I said, it was just a lot of fun. I'm probably going to give it somewhere between 3 and 4 stars. It was really fun. Wasn't perfect, but man, I had a good time. I understand why Ice Planet Barbarians has made the rounds in BookTube and Smutathon and all of that kind of stuff. Like, it all makes sense to me. I get you. I see you all. I understand it now. Then after I finished that, I read Dear Ava. And with this one, we were dealing with high schoolers. It starts with a girl waking up after she's been roofied. But we don't really get like any big flashbacks of that. There's little glimpses here and there. So that part isn't crazy intense, but you see PTSD from various characters about what happened. And so basically that happens. She does go to the cops, and 10 months later, she's actually returning to school because at that time she had left the school. She needed to kind of go lick her wounds. She went to a public school for a while, and then she comes back to this school because it's kind of a preppy elitist school. And the football players, or the Sharks, were the group that she was hanging out with before. And there's one in particular that's like, they all still notice her, but there's one that takes particular interest in Ava, and that's Knox. And it's about Ava and Knox getting to know each other outside of their previous parameters. And it was really intriguing to me as I read it, and I really enjoyed it. And it wasn't one of those magic right after high school, happily ever after kinds of things. Like, they both take some time. They grow up a bit before they're together. There's a lot of other things like involved. It's a pretty deep story. You don't get too much smut. I think there's technically 2 scenes. I wish there were more, and I wish they'd aged up a little quicker in the story, but I understand why they didn't. And so there's only one when they're high schoolers and then one when they're adults. But she is 18 by the time she returns to school. So anyways, like, it was just, again, I'm somewhere between a 3 and 4 with this one. There were things in it where it's like, did you really have to do that? That's such a cliche for these new adult books. Like, I don't know. But all in all, like, I really grew attached to the characters and really enjoyed it and respected a lot about most of the characters. There's a couple of characters that just, like, were douche canoes, and they're always going to be douche canoes. So that is one that if you like the concept and, you know, you're okay with some of the things that I've mentioned, I've purposely left things pretty vague as I don't want to give away too much of the plot. I went in pretty blind to this one, and I'm kind of glad I did. So that's why I'm not giving tons of detail on the actual plot. But again, I really liked the characters. They all grow a ton throughout the book. And so you go on a journey with them, and the journey is what made the book good for me. So still would recommend it. Again, between 3 and 4 stars. I should have more final thoughts in a while. And then the book that I am 40% through right now is another one that BookTube was reading for a while, and it's gotten really like mixed reviews. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people are in the middle about it. And that is The Kiss Thief by L.J. Shen. I have not gotten to the infamous like sex scene yet. So it's one of those things where once I get to that, I'll decide kind of how I feel about it. Right now, it's sitting at about a 3. Unless the sex scene is not as bad as everybody says it is, it's probably going to stay at 3. I don't know that it'll dip below that. I seem to like L.J. Shen's writing. This is my first L.J. Shen book, which some people are probably like, why are you reading this one first? But it's just the one that I had on my Kindle. Because I think I picked it up before everybody started reviewing it and not liking it. And that's why I haven't gotten to it yet. Because everybody was talking about it. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to read this. And that's when I picked it up. I do that sometimes. And so yeah, I'm really interested to see how I feel about that. I do have a package arriving today, and that package should be a book outlet order with romance books in it. So I'm planning on finishing reading The Kiss Thief, unless it's really bad and I DNF it. I certainly hope not. Then from there, I've got this stack of physicals. They're like upside down. But the one that's calling to me is this one. I just got this in my Bubbles and Books box. You guys will have already seen that video, so I'll leave it linked for you. But I'm like super intrigued at this moment about this book. So I think it's going to be this one. If not, it's probably going to be Dark Sentinel by Christine Feehan. I'm feeling the paranormals this morning. So I think it's going to be one of those after I finish The Kiss Thief. So I will check in with you guys once I've read a little more. All right. So I just read the infamous sex scene from this book. And I totally understand what everybody's saying about it. Like, it was uncomfortable to read. At the same time, I think I understand why the author did it. I mean, it's not going to make me give it a higher rating because I understand it. It was still super uncomfortable, and I don't agree with the choice. But in a way, I think I understand why the author made that choice. Because we're at about the 50% mark where things have to start seriously changing if they're going to be happy together by the end of this book. I know a lot of people stopped after reading that scene, and I completely understand why, and it's totally valid. I do think I'm going to keep going, see how I feel, to see if the rating's going to go down from here, because it's not getting more than a 3. I can tell you that right now. With that scene alone, it's dropped to 2 stars. Like, it was doing pretty well and could have done really well, but that just cemented it as nothing more than a 3, which is middle of the road. It might go down. We'll see how things kind of play out. The thing is, I'm drawn to the characters, and that's the only reason why I want to keep going. Francesca is growing a lot and discovering a lot of things. She's been very sheltered a lot of her growing up. Wolf needs to soften, obviously. He's had his own hurts. And I've just kind of become attached to the characters at this point. So I'm going to see what L.J. Shen chooses to do, because that'll kind of determine whether I pick up another L.J. Shen book, I think. So if you have a favorite L.J. Shen book that you really, really love, like, tell me down below. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this. So I'm at literally about the 50% mark. I'm going to keep going, and I'll let you guys know what I think. All right, friends, so I just finished The Kiss Thief, and I'm keeping it at 3 stars. It's pretty decent. Other than that one scene, it's not going to be a story for everybody. Like, it's definitely a very strong enemies to lovers situation. They're very hot and cold, and that can be irritating to some people. That's definitely a trope and a choice. And I also just know that because of that really uncomfy first sex scene, people are going to like be very uncomfortable with the book. So I knew about that going in, so I was prepared. And yeah, so 3 stars. I think had that first sex scene gone differently, it easily could have been a 4. Because the rest of the book I really enjoyed and liked how things played out for the most part. I mean, it wasn't perfect. I'm never going to say it was. It was never capable of being a 5-star read for me. But 4 stars, it was solid outside of the one thing, and I have to give it a 3 because of that. Because man, that was really uncomfy. I don't think I've ever been so uncomfortable reading a sex scene. And I can't give it more than a 3-star rating because of that. The rest of the book is easily 4 stars, but I just can't. Like, and it's a real shame, but it does make me more interested in other LJ Shen works. So as I said, I hope you guys left recommendations down in the comments because I would like to check out more of their work. So from here, I still haven't decided which one I want to read, but it's about 1:45 now. I think I'm going to get some food. You know, I'm at least dressed for the day now before I was just lounging. So I'm going to get some food in my system and kind of go from there. And I should have a choice by then. I am hosting for the Social Distance Book Fest today. I'm doing the manga meetup this afternoon. So I do need to make sure I'm ready to go for that. Otherwise, I'm just going to be reading the next couple days, and it feels really good. I definitely had a goal of reading 30 novels in 30 days, and I'm going to far exceed that. I mean, I've read 3 books just today. So, yeah, I've been basically nonstop reading except for a 2-hour nap. Well, I've probably read 8 of the last 12 hours, if I'm honest, and read the 3 books. Well, novella and 2 books. And yeah, I'm due for a break. So I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to eat and take a little bit of a break. Decide which paranormal I want to read next because I'm ready for some paranormal and go from there. So I flipped a coin. Hot and Badgered one. So this is the next one that I am going to read. And I decided to have my lunch delivered. So I haven't eaten yet. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started while I wait for lunch to come. And yeah, when I get a better grasp of what's actually happening in the book, we'll chat again. Okay, friends. So right after I filmed that last clip, I received my book outlet order. And it's mostly romance in here. So I'm going to open it in this vlog. Sorry, it's a big box for 1. And for 2, my address is very prominent on the top. And so I'm going to keep it low just for, privacy and all that good stuff. Got my receipt here. My cats are going to be so happy with so much crinkly paper. All right, so top of the box here, we have Phoenix Unbound by Grace Draven. I did get a review copy for book 2 in this series, and my friends who love fantasy romances really enjoyed this first book, and I got it for a really good deal. And so I think I only got it for $2 or $3. I really spent nothing on this. So I am really excited. Because this is here, this might totally change up my TBR. We'll see how things go. I do have 2 volumes of manga in this, so y'all know I'm a manga channel, so I'm just going to briefly mention them. And that's volumes 3 and 4 of The 7 Princes of the Thousand Year Labyrinth. This is the volume 4 is the final volume. I read the first 2 in another reading vlog, so if you want my thoughts, I will leave that linked for you. But I really enjoyed the series and want to continue on, so I'm going to read the final 2 volumes probably this week sometime. Next we have The Secret Ingredient for a Happy Marriage by Shirley Jump. I think this is more women's fiction than romance, but this one just sounded really cute. We've got a sister that kind of binds everybody together, and then she's down on her luck and things aren't good in her marriage, and I believe it's one of those trying to save the marriage relationship kind of stories. So it just looks really cute and really fun. I did not know this one was a hardback, so that was a pleasant surprise, but I have Lost and Found Sisters by Jill Shalvis, and I just love Jill Shalvis a lot, guys. It's kind of ridiculous how much, and so I'm just slowly starting to collect things in her backlist so that when I feel like a good Jill Shalvis novel, I have something to read. I had no idea this was a hardback, so pleasant romance surprise. Another one I did not know was a hardback was Consumed by J.R. Ward. I read the first 2 books in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, and I really liked J.R. Ward's writing, so I wanted to try something else by J.R. Ward to see how it goes. And yeah, this one just looked really interesting. And again, didn't know it was going to be a hardback. So pleasant surprise and yay J.R. Ward. Next I have Hang Tough by Lorelei James. This was part of the Blacktop Cowboys series by her that I really enjoy. I've read at least 2 of the novels from this series. And so I wanted to read one of the others. And so when I saw this on Book Outlet for practically nothing, it was hard to say no to. And then I have Bad for You by Jay Daniels. This is, I've read the 4th book in this series, and this was the one that they had on Book Outlet. I think it's technically book 3, so it's the one previous to the last one that I read. And I just really liked Jay Daniels' writing, so I really wanted to explore this series a little bit more. And again, Book Outlet has amazing sales, but the romance sale was really good, which is why I picked up so many. And yes, I'm just looking forward to this. And then we have Honor by Jay Crownover. It looks like it's from the Breaking Point series. I love Jay Crownover's writing. I really love her Loveless Texas series. So I wanted to try a non-cowboy romance for her to see if everything stands up. Because particularly, I really like how she writes smut. And so I really wanted to try something else to see if it stands up or it's something that she's evolved into. So again, super excited. And then the last one I have here is Ride Wild by Laura Kay. This is a Raven Riders novel. This is a MC romance or a motorcycle club romance. I've not ever read one, and I've heard a lot of people talk about Lauren Kay and they really like her. And so again, took advantage of the sale and got something new for me to try. So if you've read any of these or you're really curious about my thoughts on any of these, let me know in the comments down below and I will see which ones I want to prioritize coming up quickly. Though 1 or 2 of these might end up in my Smutathon TBR, who knows. Anyways, I'm gonna go start Hot and Badgered. That title just kills me every time. It's so hard for me to say without laughing. But I'm really interested to see how this book is going to go. It's long, though. It's like 500 pages. It's a long romance, so it might take me the rest of today to read it. But I've already read 3 things, so I don't feel bad taking the time to read something a little bit longer, especially because it's piqued my interest so hard. So we'll see how this goes. Hello, time to check in. So I'm about 15 minutes away from starting my stream for the Social Distance Book Fest today. I will have a special guest. You'll have to go back and watch the stream if you missed it to figure out who it is. And I'm about 60, almost 70. Yeah, almost 70 pages into Hot and Badgered. So I can tell you a little bit more about what's going on. So essentially there are these 3 girls who their mother is killed and their deadbeat dad only wants to claim one of the 3 of them, but the 3 of them all need to stay together. And so basically the girls end up attacking their dad, and grandpa takes them in, raises them, and everyone's dying around them. Now, jump forward 16 years, everyone around them's dying, including their father. And so now they're left with people hunting them. They don't know what's going on. And randomly, why do I want to say the wrong sister? Charlie. She ends up dropping down after transforming onto a balcony of a basically were grizzly, and she's a were honey badger. Anyway, she drops down after transforming, so she's naked and she's been injured. And so, like, they kind of cross paths then, and then they have a mutual acquaintance and they get reacquainted. And from what I'm gathering, the grizzlies are now going to help these honey badger sisters and protect them, and there's going to be a romance between two of them, and it's going to be cute. I'm really excited. It's going to be a good time. And yes, so I'm probably going to spend the rest of the evening after I finish this stream working on this, maybe going into tomorrow because it is fairly chunky. But yeah, as I said, I've already read 3 things, so if I just take my time and do this, I think it'll be great. But you know, it might also end up horrifically bad halfway through and I end up DNFing it. So who knows what's going to happen. I will check in with you guys when I have more to talk about. Hi friends, so it's been a few hours since we last chatted. I'm now about 150 pages into Hot and Badgered, and I'm enjoying it so far. The calls out on racism between this old bear and the honey badger girls has been interesting. And then there's a new friend that's kind of come into the picture who's, I think they call him a werewolf. And he's going to be an interesting piece to the puzzle. He's close to one of the sisters. Not Charlie, but one of the other ones. Like best friends level. But he's always somebody to invite trouble, and so Charlie doesn't like him. Charlie's like the responsible sister who basically cleans up after the other two. And so it's really interesting, and they've got an interesting dynamic between all the characters, because not only does Charlie have siblings, Berg has siblings, and then we're basically in a bear neighborhood for their safety, for the honey badger girls' safety, and he's kind of looking over them. He asked her out on a date. She feels like their family is cursed, and so she doesn't want to spread that to anybody else. But he still is trying to be there for her. It's cute. It's sweet. I'm really enjoying it. But I do want to play some Animal Crossing. And I did find the audiobook on Audible Escape for Hot and Badgered. So if you're liking the sound of this and you have Audible Escape, that is an option for you. So I think that's what I'm going to do for the next little while. I haven't even opened my Animal Crossing for the day yet. So I think I'm going to play some Animal Crossing, listen to Hot and Badgered. And that's just kind of what I'm going to do for the rest of the night. And I'll just check in with you guys in the morning. I really want to like take off my makeup and get comfy and all that kind of stuff and not really worry about filming any more clips today. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And you will see my face on Sunday. Hi friends, so it is now Sunday morning. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. And I just finished Hot and Badgered. And this was really fun. It wasn't nearly as smutty as I wanted, but if you like paranormal romances, like this one is really solid. I do plan on continuing on with the series. I received this in my Bubbles and Books box, as you guys have seen. If you missed that video, it's linked in the cards. But yes, I ended up really enjoying this. Solid 4, great paranormal story. Like I say, I do wish there was more smut. The smut we got was fantastic, and I really enjoyed it. I just wanted more. So, I don't know. It was very high stakes for a lot of the time, because there was so many different plot lines that were all tying into the main one, that there were a lot of pieces that weren't connecting right until the very end when you see how they all connect together. And it was really good. I really enjoyed it. So, yes, I do recommend the Honey Badger Chronicles because I'm going to continue. So, from there, I've been thinking about what I wanted to read next. And I think I'm going to do Fate by Helen Hart. This is like book 13 in the Steele Brothers saga era kind of thing. But this is the first book in a prequel trilogy in which we are following the Steele parents and how they met. So, I mean, I know what their future holds, but we still don't know much of the details of how they met and their relationship building and things. And how certain things got put into play for the rest of the series. So it's going to be interesting to get Brad and Daphne's story. So that's what this book is about, and that's what I'm going to read next. It's about 300 pages, and I always get sucked into these super hard, so it shouldn't take me too long to get through it. So I'm excited. All right, friends, so it is time to wrap up this vlog real fast. So I'm going to do everything in reverse order of how I read it in this vlog. So I will talk about everything that I read. This is the final countdown, the final wrap up. Even though it's only about like 2 o'clock on Sunday, I just think I'm going to spend the rest of the day kind of just playing Animal Crossing, doing some live streams with friends, and some things like that, just kind of chilling out. I'm feeling a little burnt out reading Rise, and I don't want to continue to be that way. And so let's go ahead and dive right into the things I've read. The first thing I need to talk about is Fate by Helen Hart, because I've read the entire book since I filmed a clip last. So in this book, we are following the Steele parents. This is technically like book 13 out of all the Steele books by Helen Hart. So we're finally getting at least primarily Dad's take on everything that happened, because we get glimpses of Dad in present time with all of the ramifications of the previous books in the series, kind of reflecting back on his days meeting Daphne. And so Brad, the father, is an only child. He's 22 at the time he's at college. He's had this on-again, off-again thing with this girl from high school named Wendy. And they've been in an off-again period. And he meets Daphne at a getting-to-know-you freshman thing, because Daphne was a freshman and Brad was a senior. So from there, Brad and Daphne are instantly attracted. It definitely has an insta-love characteristic to it. But they do spend as much of their time together as humanly possible over the next few weeks and begin a romantic relationship. And it's about how things play out from there and the consequences and ramifications of them being together, particularly centering around Wendy, this girl from Brad's past. And if you've read this series already to this point, like, you understand it. So I definitely would read this I would read them in publication order for sure. Even though this is technically a prequel trilogy, I don't recommend starting with this and then getting into the rest of the series. I would definitely read the series in publication order as it was written, because I feel like the author has added little details to everything. And honestly, I would give this one like a 3.5. I mean, it definitely has that insta-love, faded people trope right present in the beginning of this trilogy. So if that's one that bothers you, obviously don't continue on with this one. But I do recommend it. It's good. It's solid. The series as a whole, there are trigger warnings for like everything in the other books in the series. This one is a heavy trigger warning for like severe depression and anxiety. That's very present in this trilogy in particular with Daphne's character. So, and I highly recommend like making sure you find a list of trigger warnings, because I'm not going to sit here and list them all because they are extensive. All right. The thing that I also finished today was Hot and Badgered by Shelley Lawrenston. And this is a shifter romance in which we're dealing with honey badgers who are not just honey badgers. All of them are hybrid honey badgers. So they all have different characteristics. And then we've got, they come in contact with bear shifters, like grizzly bear shifters. And so this is about a grizzly bear shifter and a honey badger and wolf mix shifter in a relationship together. And the families are very overly dramatic. The honey badger girl's father is kind of a deadbeat and is always coming back looking for money or trying to cook up his next scheme because he's not really a good functioning adult in society. And so you have a very interesting and complex family dynamic, as well as these girls are basically being hunted from the beginning of the story. And then you have the bears come in to be their protectors. I believe I'm really interested in the next book in the series because it involves two characters that are very prominently featured in here. So I'm really excited to see where that would go. But it wasn't smutty enough for me. I definitely wanted more smut. This one could have had a little more smut, but what we got was great. And again, the smut we got here was great as well. The book in the middle, because I read a total of 5 things, was The Kiss Thief by LJ Shen. And yes, that sex scene really is that bad.
Hey friends, Editing Shay here. I realized I didn't give a proper description of the Kiss Thief, so I'm going to do that here real quick. So in the Kiss Thief, we have Francesca, and Francesca has been sheltered and raised her entire life to be the wife of the man who takes over her father's like mobster style business. And anyways, she ends up not marrying the boy she grew up with that she thought she would marry. She ends up married to a senator who has power over her dad. She's 19, he's 30, so it's a bit of an age gap romance, and it has Beauty and the Beast elements to it. So I just wanted to come on here and do a brief description about what it's about. And I do a pretty good job of describing kind of how it all plays out, but I just didn't do an actual description of what happens. So that's kind of the story. Back to past Shay.
I ended up settling on 3 stars for it. I couldn't give it more than that. The rest of the book is really pretty good. I really enjoyed it. It definitely had that enemies to lovers kind of situation. They were very hot and cold, but that first sex scene that they have together, it was just that bad. It was uncomfortable to read. It was an uncomfortable experience for the characters, like both people involved. It became very uncomfortable. So it really was that bad. So just know that. The next book that I'm going to talk about is Dear Ava. This is a new adult romance involving like seniors in high school, and it does center around a bullying situation. So if that's something that can be triggering to you, be aware of that. But in this one, we're dealing with a guy who's had a crush on a girl for years, but one of his buddies liked her, so he like stepped back, and the girl realizes that she liked this guy too, but because of the whole bullying situation, she was gone from the school for a year. So it's about her coming back and getting reacquainted with the one guy who's been interested in her for a long time, and how everything changed for both of them after what happened. And there's, again, very interesting family dynamics within the story, and it was just really well handled and really well done. I really enjoyed it. But it definitely wasn't perfect. It has its problems. And so I gave it a 3.5 stars. It was pretty enjoyable, but, you know, I have to acknowledge that it can be very problematic. And then the last thing that I read, or the first thing that I read for this readathon, was Ice Planet Barbarians. I did read this, and I enjoyed it a lot. I'm giving it 4 stars. I think it was really just fun because you kind of had almost like a caveman aspect to the aliens. And so it kind of had that like primitive living meets modern day kind of situation. And it was just really interesting and intriguing. I kind of want to continue on with the series, but I've heard the other books aren't nearly as good as this one. So I don't know. I might try book 2 and see how I do with it. But those of you who have continued, like, DM me on Twitter or something and like tell me why they're not as good. I don't know if it was just the characters or what was going on with that. So anyways, guys, that is it. That is everything that I read for this round of Smutathon. Yes, I could have probably read more, but at the same time, like, I've been reading quite a bit in isolation, and like at this point I've read 30 books in the last 30 days. And so I just want to kind of read a little bit slower and read at my pace and just kind of chill out for the rest of the day. So thank you guys so much for watching this vlog. I hope you enjoyed my reads. If you participated in Smutathon, let me know in the comments down below what you ended up reading, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.